JT Sports, and I'm here with a quick little video. Um, I'm just going to come out and say it. Football right now, and when the new polls come out, LSU should be number one. LSU is 2-0 versus top 10 opponents. They beat Texas when they was in the top 10, and they beat Florida um Saturday night. So LSU should be the number one team in the nation when the AP Top 25 polls come out because let's see, Clemson hasn't played anybody but Texas A&M, and Alabama has only played Texas A&M, and Alabama and LSU is 2-0 versus the top 25. So I mean, LSU should be the number one team in the nation. I mean, if LSU isn't the number one team in the nation, then I think it's something wrong with the college football ranking system or whatever it is because LSU is 2-0 versus the top 10. No team in college football so far has went 2-0 versus the top 10 so far. And then like I just think LSU just deserves to be number one. I think they are the best team in college football. 2-0 versus top 10 opponents. They had a strong schedule. They play Auburn. I don't think they play Auburn this week, but they got Auburn coming up. So, I mean, LSU deserves to be number one in the nation, man. I mean, 2-0. Like I said, Alabama hasn't played anybody. Clemson hasn't really played anybody. The only teams Alabama has played has been Texas A&M, and Clemson has played Texas A&M, and that's pretty much it. Now I know Clemson dominated FSU, but I mean it's Florida State right now. I mean they're a little bit down bad right now. So I mean LSU deserves to be the number one team in the nation. Now I wanna be disagree if people said that Oklahoma or Ohio State were number one. You made legitimate arguments. Ohio State has been pretty dominant. They beat Michigan State. And also Oklahoma. Oklahoma's defense looks to be legit. So I wouldn't be mad. But I'm just saying, I think you have to show respect to LSU. I think if LSU isn't the number one team in the new AP polls that drops later on in the day, then I think it's something wrong. Because like I think if you're listen, I know people have to play who's in front of them and things like that. In college football, you can schedule who you play, right? Alabama and Clemson have opportunities to start the season off playing top 10 teams, and they refuse to. But LSU, I mean, I feel you cannot ignore the fact that LSU is 2-0 versus top 10 teams, two top 10 teams. Texas was top 10 in the nation at that time. This like LSU is 2-0 versus the top 10, and the number one and two teams haven't played nobody. Like Alabama has only played Texas A&M. Clemson has only played Texas A&M. Texas A&M wasn't even a top 10 team coming into this game. So I mean, you have to give credit when credit is due. So I mean, if LSU isn't number one, LSU should leapfrog Oklahoma and Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama because I mean, LSU has played a tougher schedule. I mean, the best teams Ohio State has played was Michigan State and Cincinnati. So I mean, Clemson has went 2-0 versus the top 10. And I mean, I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me and things like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, schedule should mean a lot. So LSU is 2-0 versus the top 10. They deserve to be number one right now. I don't. I mean, you really can't. You really cannot make a legitimate argument that can say that Alabama deserves to be ranked ahead of LSU when Alabama hasn't played nobody. Alabama has only played one ranked opponent. Clemson has only played one ranked opponent. They barely beat UNC a couple of weeks ago, and they dominated FSU. But Florida State is Florida State, man. So I mean, at the end of the day, LSU should be the number one team in the country. They're definitely my number one team in the country. A couple of weeks ago, I had Georgia as my number one team in the country because they beat Notre Dame. So I mean, if I was an AP voter and I was doing my college football playoff polls, the way I would do it is the team that has the strongest strength of schedule, the team that's 2-0 versus the top 10, they would be number one in my book. Because look, I mean, the fact is LSU is the best team in the nation. Okay, I mean, a lot of people gonna say Oklahoma and Ohio State. A lot of people keep on saying people always bring up strength of schedule, blah 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 blah. You can't judge a team how good they are based on who they play. Okay, yeah, that might be true, but at the end of the day, you're 2-0 versus two top 10 teams at the time. You beat Texas. Texas is going back to the Big 12 championship unless Baylor beats Oklahoma or Oklahoma State does something. But at the end of the day, you beat two top 10 teams. I don't care where they were ranked. at the end of the season. You beat two top 10 teams at the time, right? Unless they had like a downslide like FSU the year DeAndre Francois got injured like 2017, unless they go down like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, Texas is going to end up being a very good. Is going to end up being like a 11-win team by the end of the season, and Florida is probably going to end up being a 10-win team by the end of the season. They're probably going to end up going to the SEC championship if they end up being Georgia. So I mean, LSU deserves to be the number one team in the country. Said the same thing with Auburn. Auburn, they beat Oregon, they beat Texas A&M. I don't care. I don't care how ugly the wins are. If you beat two top 10 teams, that's a key victory. 2-0 versus the top 10. And I just don't think a lot of people really put emphasis on that when they talk about the best teams in the country. Like a lot of people get mad that I say that LSU is better than Alabama and Clemson. And I don't see why people can really get upset with that claim, because Alabama has not played anybody. And Clemson has not played anybody. The only team they played was Texas A&M. So at the end of the day, I mean, you're 2-0 versus the top 10. So that has to mean something, man. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna say Oklahoma and Ohio State, but I mean, neither one of those teams have played a top 10 opponent twice this season. LSU. LSU beat Texas. They beat Texas. They really beat Texas way worse than what the score implicates. Texas had a couple of garbage touchdowns. I mean, they beat Florida by like what, 2 touchdowns. So I mean, at the end of the day, Texas is 2-0 versus the top 10, right? And I feel that should also mean something when it comes time to get the teams into college football playoffs, when it's time for the committee to make their selections. Listen, if LSU loses 2 games, let's say they lose to Alabama, or they lose to Auburn or whatnot, and they only lose 2 games and win out, I would still put LSU in the college football playoffs over a Big Ten champion or whoever. Because look, if your strength of schedule, right? Listen here, LSU has the toughest schedule in the nation. One of the toughest schedules in the nation, right? I don't care if you're a Big Ten champion or you won your championship. Listen, if LSU has a stronger strength of schedule and they have beaten better teams than you, and you just been scheduling cupcakes, beating down on cupcakes and things like that, then they deserve to be in there. So what? The fans can complain about it all they want to. Listen, college football is not the NFL. Your schedule isn't automatically made. You can choose teams to put on your schedule. So schedule some tougher opponents. If you get mad, it's like Notre Dame fans. I mean, every year they always complain how they always get overlooked by the committee, but they never play anybody. And then this year, last year, it was a strong argument that Notre Dame should have been in. Look, I thought that Notre Dame deserved to be in, regardless of. I listen. You can't say a team doesn't deserve to be in the college football playoffs just because they lose in the college football playoffs. I think that's very unfair. It doesn't matter what you do in the playoffs. It matters how you got there. Notre Dame deserve to be in there. Now, if Notre Dame doesn't get in this year and they're only lost to Georgia, I don't want to hear no excuse. I don't want to hear no excuse, man. So listen, LSU, a 2-loss LSU, I would put in. Now, I did say earlier a Big Ten touchdown or a Big Ten champion I want to put over LSU. But listen, the Big Ten is really competitive right now. So I think whoever wins the Big Ten championship, regardless of what I said earlier, I was just talking, but regardless, whoever wins the Big Ten deserves to be in the college football playoffs, because that Big Ten division is really, really competitive right now, right? But at the end of the day, the moral of the story is LSU is the best team in the nation right now. And you think Alabama and Clemson is the best team in the nation, then I really have to disagree with your thinking, because LSU is 2-0 versus the top 10. I don't care. I know a lot of people are going to try to switch this narrative around. They're going to be like, oh, they're not that good, blah, blah, blah. Listen, a top 10 win is a top 10 win. It doesn't matter. Unless Texas and Florida go down bad like how FSU went back in 2017, which I doubt, and those two teams end up going 6-6 or 7-6 or something like that. I strongly doubt it. They deserve to be the best team in the nation, because look, Texas is going to end up going to the Big 12 championship. So that means LSU has to win over a team that went to the Big 12 championship game, right? And if Florida goes to the SEC championship game, that means LSU would have not only just went 2-0 versus two top 10 teams at the time, but they also would have went 2-0 versus teams who went to the conference championships. And I think that's what the committee needs to look at. It doesn't matter if LSU loses 2 games Oh well, you still have to look at the overall. You still have to look up their overall resume, and their overall resume is way more impressive than Oklahoma. The only ranked team that Oklahoma has left to play is Baylor. And I don't even think Baylor is even going to be ranked by the time Oklahoma plays them in a couple of weeks. So Oklahoma, they're most likely going to end up only playing Texas, and pretty much that's pretty much it. So their two wins are going to be against Texas twice because Texas is most likely going to end up going to the Big 12 championship. Now, you can make a different argument for a Big Ten team because the Big Ten right now we're in the meat of the Big Ten right now. We're about to start seeing some great Big Ten games. This week coming up, we got Michigan and Penn State. That's interesting. Next week, we got Ohio State and Wisconsin, two of arguably the best teams in the Big Ten. So, I mean, it's really going to be interesting to see who ends up winning that Big Ten, who ends up winning the Big Ten. So, I mean, whoever wins the Big Ten, I don't care if they have one loss, two losses. Listen, the Big Ten champion needs to be in the college football playoffs this year. I don't care if they have one loss, two loss, because look, the Big Ten conference right now is a gauntlet. It's just as tough as the SEC conference right now. The SEC has what? You have Auburn, you have Florida, you have LSU, you have Alabama. I mean, all those teams are very good. I mean, I know Auburn. I mean, they got a freshman quarterback, but overall, I don't think Gus Malzahn should be fired. So I think that LSU right now is the best team in the country. A lot you can disagree with it all you want to. You can thumbs down the video. You can call me an idiot all you want to. But look, I see LSU 2-0 versus the top 10. I haven't seen Alabama play a top 10 team. Haven't seen Ohio State play a top 10 team. Haven't seen Oklahoma play a top 10 team. LSU deserves to be number one. They're the best team in the nation, man. I don't see. I think it was really retarded that I don't even know how this crap even works for real. Like they had a tie. They had like a tie for like third in the polls. Like if you just don't make a team number 3 and 4, like come on, just make a team number 3 and 4. It's not gonna mean a doggone thing. So at the end of the day, LSU is the best team in the nation. I don't care. LSU is ranked number 1 now. Thank you. Thank you. And the reason why I'm making this video is because a lot of people on social media have been bashing LSU, talking about some LSU doesn't deserve to be number 1. Like I don't know what kind of college football those people who don't think LSU deserves to be number 1 has been watching. But all I see is 2-0 versus the top 10. That's all I see. That's all I see. So I mean, I see LSU deserves to be number 1. They're ranked number 1 now, but I just made this because I saw a lot of people like bashing LSU being number 1. Like that crap don't make no sense to me, right? LSU is 2-0 versus the top 10. They beat Texas, they beat Florida. So it doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make no sense to me, right? So I mean, if you're 2-0 versus the top 10, you deserve to be number 1. And I love this. Like UG, like it makes no sense to me how people are upset that LSU is number 1 right now. Like it makes absolutely no sense to me. If LSU loses 2 games, they still deserve to be in the college football playoffs because they're 2-0 versus top 10 teams. Not a lot of teams are going to have that, and that it's going to be really interesting to see how the committee handles that because they're going to be 2-0 versus the top 10. They're potentially going to end up playing another top 10 team in Auburn in the next couple of weeks. So, I mean, that's going to be interesting. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, LSU, if LSU wins out, even if they do lose this 2 games or something like that, I still will put them in the college football playoffs. Right now, we know Clemson is most likely going to be in, even though that ACC is an absolute crap show right now. Wake Forest just lost to Louisville. So, I mean, Clemson is basically going to dominate everybody. You can put them in. I don't know if Oklahoma's going to beat Texas again, but you can put Ohio State in right now. But I mean LSU versus Ohio State now. I don't know, man. I don't want to put Ohio State in there right now, man. Ohio State plays Wisconsin next week, and they got to play Penn State, and they still got to play Michigan again. 1-loss SEC. Well, look, we already have a 1-loss SEC team, right? We got Georgia. Right? So Georgia and Florida play in a couple of weeks. So think about it. Georgia versus Florida is a semifinal matchup. A lot of people keep on saying the college football needs to have a semi or qualifier to see who gets in. Listen, a lot of these issues with the committee, it really gets worked out by themselves, right? The Georgia versus Florida, with Georgia losing to South Carolina, thank God Jameis Winston threw a touchdown pass. Thank you, God. But listen, Florida versus Georgia, is going to be basically elimination, right? So whoever wins that is going to clinch their spot into the SEC championship for the SEC East. LSU beat Bama, then UGA beat LSU. But look though, even then, right? Even then, right? Now, here's the thing, right? I'm gonna make another live stream about this later. I'm gonna end after I end this one, and I'm just talking about the college football playoffs right now. So I'm about to end this. You guys come on and join the next one.